Steve Kemper, UCN Live. I'm here with Peter Nelson of HBO Sports. Peter, big weekend for your network. What are you more excited about, Golovkin or Game of Thrones?
I'm excited for both. Plus, I'm excited for Chocolatito. I'm excited for it all.
As we look at the future, my question is this. Both of them are big favorites, Golovkin and Chocolatito. There's been so much made, so much speculation over the HBO budget. Can you assuage the public's fears? What is the commitment of HBO Sports to boxing?
We've seen it over the course of a 40-year tradition, and that extends into this year. We've seen great events already, whether it's been the Pacquiao fight on pay-per-view, events like this, Andre Ward, Terrence Crawford, Sergey Kovalev. We've seen just great event after event, month by month as we've gone on, and this event is also of equal quality as we head into another great pay-per-view event with Canelo Alvarez against Amir Khan on May 7th.
Does it puzzle you, the speculation over the HBO budget?
People love to speculate in boxing. That's never been a lack of a growth industry in the sport. But the focus for us is on delivering the fights that the fans want to see, delivering the fighters and quality events. And we believe Saturday night conforms and comports with that image that is online with our brand.
When you look, Gennady Golovkin, if he does not get the Canelo Alvarez fight, what do you think is the plan? Can you get him 2 more fights this year in lieu of one big pay-per-view event?
Well, we're going to see how Saturday goes, and we'll evaluate all the options from there with Tom and Max and Oleg and Gennady and Abel and the team. So, step by step, this is how we've always done it. That's how this franchise has been built. And if you take a look at all the iconic moments in boxing, so many of them have been upsets. So we're going to see what Dominic Wade brings to the table on Saturday night, and we'll go from there.
I think with Roman Gonzalez, there's one big event out there in terms of the fight that I think people want to see, especially on the West Coast. A rematch with Juan Francisco Estrada. Number one, do you like that fight? And number two, do you think that fight of that caliber is good enough to headline its own show?
First fight was a great fight, and I think that people look at Estrada's career and see that he's improved in some ways. I think people have gotten a greater appetite to watching Roman fight now that he's been on HBO a few times. It's a wider audience. There's a wider audience for that fight. There was a wide audience for some other fights that are out there for Roman Gonzalez as well. I think that if you take a look at Arguello and his legacy and what that represents and how personal it is to Roman Gonzalez, having been a kind of mentee and apprentice to him, I think that looking at a 4th divisional world title will probably be something that comes into the mix over time for him. But again, we're going to look to Saturday night and not past it. We'll see what Arroyo brings to the table, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Peter, you've been on this gig for about, how long you've been as the head honcho of HBO? Well, your new title, how long has that been? It's about 6 months.
Few months.
Has anything changed? What's the biggest lesson you've learned from now being the guy at HBO Sports?
Well, I mean, one of the great privileges of it is being able to work with such a fantastic team of people, and the great challenge is trying to uphold the legacy of a division that has brought so much phenomenal programming to sports fans and fans of just great storytelling, which is what HBO excels at. That's our aim, and we look to do it every time we get an at-bat with it.
Manny Pacquiao may or may not have retired. Floyd Mayweather, for the time being, is officially retired. What type of future? Do you think it's an uncertain future that boxing faces as it kind of moves on from that particular era?
Critics make poor morticians, and so many have said that boxing is dead and that this goes on every single time until a major fight is on the horizon. And you can find examples of people always saying that, well, the next era is going to have to find its footing. And it always does, because the fans are there to rally behind the greatest talents of the time. So when we see that if great lights of the sport decide to exit, others emerge. We've seen this happen again and again. It's existed before you and I. It'll extend long after.
12 months from now, is there a particular fighter that you think could burst out and be the next big HBO foundational fighter?
You take a look all the time. I mean, part of why I always try to get to the fights early, is that I want to see who's developing and who's going to emerge next. We take a look at fights from all over the world. I'm watching YouTube clips from all over the planet constantly in the office, and I'm always trying to talk with people who have given me heads ups about fighters that they see who they think are developing. And sometimes the guys who initially look like the great prospects of the day, it ends up being someone else in a different avenue. So you can't just go off of pedigree, though sometimes that can be a great predictor.
Okay, this is it. Peter Nelson, head honcho of HBO Sports. Steve Kim for UCN Live.